What's up, guys? This is Carter Thomas with Coin Mastery TV. Make sure you go subscribe to the newsletter at coinmastery.com/invest. And always make sure you join us on YouTube for daily crypto analysis, updates, and all sorts of things. Go to coinmastery.com/YouTube. Thank you so much for coming. And I would like to say a humongous thank you to everyone. We're at 10,000 subscribers. We've passed it. This has been awesome. It's only been about a month, and it's all because of you guys, and you sharing the videos and you commenting and liking them. So I really appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you. And my goal is to just continue to do this, and hopefully hit 100,000 by the end of the year. So thank you for that. I just want to give you guys a quick shout out. I appreciate it. And I'm going to continue to do this as best I can for you. Now today we got some cool stuff going on. What I think the big theme of the day is the beginning of the next movement in this crypto space in terms of moving to the mainstream. There's a few things that came out yesterday, which I'll show you, which were kind of all over the news, but had some particularly interesting parts to them. So we're going to walk through a few things about what we're seeing in the media, obviously what's going on in the market. I want to show you a little bit of technical analysis. I learned this late last night. I've been studying this stuff on all sorts of like Forex trading sites, and hopefully it'll help you out. But I want to just give you a very rudimentary, and if you are a very strong technical analysis person, please let me know if I'm doing something wrong or if there's something I could do better. This is really just something that this is really kind of like my learning, and I just want to share it with you because I do think that from everything I learned, this is right. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about sustainability, and we'll talk about what that means. But it's really, it's a good one. We'll talk about that a little bit down the road. Looking at the markets today, as always, and I posted this on Twitter yesterday, and some of you guys, or maybe this morning, where when you look at when you open up Bittrex, for example, and you look around and you see that there's really nothing in the middle except for the major coins, right? The Ripples, the Moneros, the Litecoins. Everything else is like it's either up 30% or it's down 30%, or like up 100%, and then everything else is down like 30% or whatever. And I kind of misspoke on Twitter. I said that this is not how markets work. I mean, realistically, markets are markets, right? There's no right or wrong way for that to work. What I meant is that this is behaving very differently than what's his name, John Smith or Keynesian, like the old school capitalism market guys, what they would tell you a perfect market or an efficient market would look like. This is in my opinion, an extremely emotional market. We've talked about this many, many times, how what's happening with a lot of these coins, is that they get these huge runs and then people dump non-performing coins to put money into the ones they're running in hopes of getting a quick hit, right? Like that's really what it is. It's kind of that burst of euphoria. And there's no real thought to it. There's no strategy behind it. They weren't planning on it. They wake up, they see it running, they check Facebook or they check Twitter, they see 1 million people posting about it, and they jump in and try to ride it. And now sometimes that can work out, right? Like let's say you make 70% or 50% or 10%. That's almost worse because your brain starts to think that that's a good strategy. Your brain is saying, hey, this behavior led to you making money. Even if you logically can tell yourself, that probably wasn't the right move. It was probably a little risky. Your brain is wired now to do it again, right? And I'm not here to be anyone's, tell you what to do or anything like that. Like everyone's responsible for themselves and make your own decisions. I firmly believe that. But I do think that you got to be conscious of that. You got to be aware of that. And that's what I'm seeing. So when I see coins like Civic, right, going down to 13,000 Satoshis, but I see other things like Token Card and basic attention browser, the basic attention token, and even AdEx and Monaco, when I see them getting massive volume, and I see things like Civic, Stratus, like they get pushed down, it's often because people bought into Civic a week ago, or they bought into Stratus a couple months ago, and it's not giving them the fast, huge returns that they want. That they're waiting. They want that Neo, that OMG explosion. And so the opportunity for you, in my opinion, is these, the Civics and the Stratuses of the world, the ones that have proven that they're great products or that they have like a real business, but they're getting discarded first because they're not performing in hopes of riding one of these rocket ships. I firmly believe that if you were interested in capitalizing on this particular trend that's happening over the next week or two of this just ridiculous movement of money, that's where the opportunity is. Myself, like what I would tell you is I think Civic is one, I think Stratus is one, I think Quantum is probably one because it's screamed up and now it's coming back down because I think that Quantum's actually pretty good. I don't own any Quantum. And I'm also, just to let you know, I don't always want to talk about coins that I own, because the last thing I want you to think is that I'm just promoting stuff I own. So I'll always just try to give a few different opinions on this, because I'm never trying to, say my coins are better than others. And you can go through and do the math on these a little bit, but storage was at the top of the charts last week, and now it's nowhere to be found because people lost interest. And this is an important point from a macro standpoint, because right now, so for anybody who doesn't know, most of you don't know, I own a business that was in the that is in the mobile app space, right? You build mobile apps, iPhone apps. I built thousands of iPhone apps. I've been in the iPhone app business for about 5 or 6 years now. And at the beginning of that, right, 2012, 2013, the App Store was everything. That's where all the marketing was done. If you got your app into the App Store, it was all about how can you get on the charts, how can you get on the top, like the top of your category or whatever it may be. It wasn't about where can you get Facebook ads or email marketing or anything like that. It was purely about the App Store and getting into the App Store, because that's where the exposure was. And if you got to number 1 or number 10, like top 10 in your category, you got millions of downloads, right? And there's keywords and things like that, App Store optimization. And over the course of 5 or 6 years, that has changed, right? Now it's about advertising outside of the App Store and bringing people in. The crypto, Bittrex, right? Or not really, maybe not Bitfinex, but Bittrex is really the big dog now for altcoins because all the volume is here. This is like an advertising platform. People might hear about something happening on Facebook or Twitter. They might get a tip, but Bittrex is where this is like the Google. This is the top charts, which is insane to think about, right? Like there's all this is really doing is just showing you volume and price changes, but it's turning into that same sort of top chart mentality, which is why people are recycling the positions. And that, I can tell you, is not going to last as soon as the investors come in. It also gives you an opportunity, because the ones that get pushed down that are really good quality are going to get a lot of money when smart money comes in. When people that look at this and they're like, this is insane that people are buying this way, and they see the really good products that got pushed down. So that's just what I'm seeing. I am personally, I'll probably buy a little Civic today. I think that's actually a really good price, especially if it's getting pushed down like this. But that's what blows my mind. If I could tell you one thing, and again, I'm just one guy. Like I'm no pro here. Do not chase these candles. As tempting as this, and I tell you this because I've done that. I've done that so many times. I did that on Monaco. I did that on Storage. I did that on Ethereum Classic when it was tweeted that it was going on Coinbase. Ethereum Classic, I got out unburned. Storage, it went way down, but then I luckily got the big spike back up, so that was fine. And Monaco got smoked, and now look at, I mean, now it came way back up, right? Who would have known? But I bought those three things when it was screaming up, and it was always a bad idea. Like I lucked out with storage, to be perfectly honest. Like that wasn't smart on my part at all. And so, yes, you may make some money if you can time it perfectly, but the odds are not in your favor the more often you do it. It's like playing a casino. You just don't. The more you play, the more you lose. So that's why I'm such a big believer in just buying the dips, right? Like wait till one of these things might go up, but what is coming way down that's a good product that has no business coming way down, right? Civic, maybe ARC. I don't know about ARC because it didn't have a whole long longevity to really prove it out. But things like that, like 10X might be a good one. Like that's been pushed down pretty significantly. I don't own any 10X, but you might want to check that out. Okay, cool. One notable one is the other day, I think 2 days ago in the videos, we talked a lot about how Bitcoin Cash, I firmly do not believe that it's dead, right? I showed you the whole Reddit thing, and I was like, this was like right here when it was as dead as it could be. And I don't know if this is because of, Roger and what I talked about, like the influence and bringing people in. But what this does show us is that it's not dead. Like there is still life here. There's still exchanges that are releasing Bitcoin Cash. There's still something to this. Whether or not this holds, this may come way back down. But there's still people looking at this. There's still volume. And there's still the opportunity for this to go up. I'm not buying any, right? Because personally, I got better things to invest in. But there's something there, right? So the lesson here, for me at least, and what I'm taking away from this, is you never write off something because everybody says it sucks. You go on Twitter, you go on Facebook, you go on YouTube, everybody's just writing off Bitcoin Cash, biggest piece of crap, whatever. It's just all emotional. Right? They justify the emotions by talking about the block size and how much the people suck and blah, 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 blah. Right? But at the end of the day, it's really just an emotional response that they're trying to rationalize through all the technical jargon. When in reality, there's actually fear that it might come up and compete with Bitcoin, with BTC. Can you imagine how much that would just ruin so many of these people that had spent the last 5 years of their life finally struggling, and finally Bitcoin wins, and now a new thing with powerful investor types come in and they're like, oh yeah, you're done, right? Like, people defend status more than anything else. Now yesterday, you may have seen this, but Brian Kelly, this guy in CNBC, CNBC, just by the way, they're pretty good at every time anything that they say, you can pretty much assume that the opposite is going to happen. Like they are the worst predictors of anything, both in crypto, finance. Never ever listen to these guys or like Jim Cramer or Wall Street. Like anything you read about financial stuff that these guys are talking about, give me a break, right? No, nothing personal. It's a joke, right? Now, what's interesting is that he not only is talking about crypto and Bitcoin, which is like, okay, we're seeing Bitcoin on news all over the place. It's either like, oh my God, look at this new thing, or it's, this is this ridiculous tulip gold rush and it's going to crash, and you're better off with a mutual fund. Don't listen to these idiot tech weirdos. This is going to go away, right? That's typically what you hear in the media. Well, what's interesting about this video is that this guy, Brian, gets into like actual altcoins, right? So he goes through and he talks about his portfolio, and he talks about how he owns. Most people just think it's Bitcoin. They don't realize that there's Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, Zcash, Monero, Ripple, Metal, IOTA. Like they have no idea about this. Now, obviously, this is just pretty much, you go to the top, market cap coins, and that's kind of where this is pulled from. I don't know if there's any sort of, maybe he's friends with the metal team, or he knows the guys at Bcash or Monero or Barry, whatever his name is, the guy who invested in all these. But the fact that he's bringing up like altcoins and he's treating it like a portfolio, that is a big deal, because this makes it appealing to Joe Smith, who lives in the suburbs of New York City, who works 9 to 6 as an insurance company, who likes looking at the stock market, but crypto is like, why would I just get into Bitcoin? Okay, now that there's stuff to pick, now that he realizes there's a world where you can do portfolio and you can trade and more exciting, this is what's going to get people into crypto. This is what's going to get the average person to get hooked, to get that first hit of what this industry offers. And the more you see of this, the more you can expect people to come in, and the more you're going to see services and stuff like eToro, which are going to kind of like what we talked about, I think last week with the portfolio balancing and the index funds, which I'm working on, by the way. It's kind of like in the background because the market is just so ridiculous right now. But this stuff, watching these types of, or hearing about this, keep this in mind, right? This is the kind of stuff that the average person wants. And guess who's going to cater to that? Coinbase is going to cater to that. Are these the coins Coinbase will use? I doubt it, because there's a lot of compliance and stuff like that. But this is going to be the gateway drug for the E-Trade Fidelity investor to get in. Bitcoin is not enough. They need to think that they have more control. And this is what's going to give it to them. So keep an eye on this stuff. Don't write off news as it's just FUD and people who don't get it. This is what the average American sees. And if you don't live in America, watch BBC or watch Australian news or Thailand, wherever you are. This is the stuff. Like, hey, there's actually more to this. There actually is some strategy that you can apply. So go check it out. The other thing I saw that was really interesting was this article on Bloomberg Technology. The title is "Some Investors See Bitcoin Better Than Gold," Morgan Stanley says. This is one of the first times that I, other than a handful of analysts or hedge fund guys that will say, this is going to be the best, right? They paint the optimists as some pie in the sky crazy idea. They rarely give it the rational, hey, this is a real asset class that you can compare. This is serious. Like that, you don't see that very often on publications like Bloomberg or whatever. And the fact that they're starting to compare things like gold or the stock market or index funds and say that this could actually be a real asset driving class, this is another, I guess, concession of the mainstream media that this may apply to, that this may work for anybody. And this may be an integral part of portfolios for people. So the reason I'm bringing these both up and spending some time on this is because this, in my opinion, is going to be this is going to tip people in. You're going to get more articles like this while Bitcoin is going up, and then also when it's going down. When it goes down, you're going to start to see people saying, look, this actually isn't crashing. This is the time to get in, right? Like if you're going to get in, this is that type of switch where it goes from being a disaster and a failed product to being, hey, this is an opportunity. If you're going to get in, this is when you get in. So they're kind of teeing up the audience so that when it goes down, you get a lot more people. So that for you guys, the surge up after that is going to be just bonkers, like 10, 15, 20,000 of Bitcoin prices, and all, everything else comes up with that. So keep an eye on this stuff. This is a lot more coordinated than you think, right? I raised a lot of money for an app company 2 years ago with a business partner. And I met with the CEOs of Time, Condé Nast, Hearst, Time Warner, or Comcast, I should say, right? Like huge publishing companies. And we're building a news app. And what I can tell you is that without getting into specifics, they have very clear kind of quarterly agendas. So the finance division of one of these companies sits down and says, by the end of this quarter, how are we going to present Bitcoin? Like, do we hate it? Do we love it? What do we want to do? Then at night, they go out and get drinks with their friend who might work at Morgan Stanley, or they might, like it happens like that. It's crazy. So just keep this in mind. This is the macro stuff that can impact the market really effectively. Now, I want to show you, or I want real time, I want to attempt to show you a bit of technical analysis on AdEx. If you didn't see AdEx yesterday or last couple of days, obviously yesterday it was, I guess, right around when I released the video. I mean, my video had nothing to do with this. Like the volume of this, like 10,000 Bitcoin. I wish I could take credit for it, but the news or the things you see on these videos do not move the markets like this. This is a massive, massive market. So it was just kind of coincidental, I think. But, we talked about AdEx and Neo partnering. If you want to go watch yesterday's video, you'll see it. And literally an hour and a half later, it started to go crazy. And one thing that, assuming this volume stays up, which, it looks like it may do, the obvious question is, well, if you want to get in, which I'm not buying any of this, but if you wanted to, when do you get in? And I think this is helpful for anything, which is the bigger question, which I want to do a dedicated video to, which is called, when do you buy the dip? Everybody knows you're supposed to buy the dip, but like, when exactly do you know how to? And so from reading a lot last 2 days, I want to attempt to give you guys some ways to do it. I'm using Bittrex, which is a very poor platform for this. Coinigy, I'm testing that out, but I want to just go from here. What you do is you go over here. If you're listening on the podcast, I'll encourage you to come watch the video, but I'm in Bittrex. Underneath where it says the timeline 30 minutes, it says select tool. What you want to do is you want to go to Fibonacci. Now, if you don't know what a Fibonacci numbers are, go look it up on Google, because it basically just describes different ratios that break down different chart movements. And this is really how fundamental technical analysis works. And what you want to do is you want to go to you obviously got to wait until there's a peak. So I'm assuming this is going to be the peak. I mean, if it keeps going up, then you got to redo your charts, but you could start it over here and you'd probably see the same thing. But let's assume that this latest one is the peak. So I'm going to click on this at the peak, and what happens is you get this, this kind of this graph that comes down, right? So what you do then is you scroll it down and you click, you stop it. The 0 point is at the beginning of the previous big surge, right? So like the beginning of the previous, or the end of the previous dip, which is right here, right? So now I have this set up. So, I mean, if you can zoom in, zoom out, it'll stay in proportion. So the top is the absolute top point. The bottom is to the bottom of this run, which was really kind of when it spikes to begin with. So now you have this Fibonacci chart. The next thing you want to do is go back over here to the trading things, and I want to click on line. Now what I want to do is I want to paint a line between the bottom of the first run to the bottom of the second run, right? I'm going to click it right there. And that's going to give me a line that connects the bottom of the first run to the bottom of the second run. What this is telling me, and I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but this is just what this very, very basic technical analysis would say, is that where the 50% crosses this line is where you want to buy. That's where the next surge would happen, if it was going to happen, right? That's assuming that the volume stays the same and all the fundamentals follow through. but you connect the bottom to the second. You do the fib from the very top to the beginning of the first run. And this crossover point, this 50% and the line, that is where you'd probably want to set your buy order. Maybe a little bit above that just to make sure you catch it. Will this work? I have no idea. This is just one thing I've learned. So if you want, you can go look and back test this against other graphs. You can try it yourself, and maybe this is helpful. You can do it right in Bittrex, so you don't need some fancy software to do it. But if you don't know when to buy the dips, this can help you. This is what I have been doing. This is what I'm going to keep doing. There's enough data here that it makes it a little easier. And that's just a little kind of, this is specifically for people that have never done this before, like myself. Like, I'm learning. I just want you guys to learn too, so you can check it out. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm not going to buy any of this myself, but I am definitely going to watch and see if this works. And what did I mess up on if it doesn't work? Okay. The last thing I wanted to talk about is really, I don't, some people might find this interesting, some people might not, is, I'm going to see if I can pull this up. What's this guy's name? Reformed Downtown Josh Brown. This guy put up, he's a pretty funny kind of like investor. He put up an article a couple of days ago. And I'm going to see if I'm just scrolling down to see if I can find it. But what this said is that making money off of money that you invested is scientifically the equivalent of doing cocaine, right? And I think that anybody who's been doing this for a couple of days, couple of weeks, would probably tell you that there's a lot of truth to that, and that this is like a very, very taxing, and where is this? I'm just going to keep scrolling. Hopefully I can find it. If not, you guys can go check this out. But I think everybody can agree that this is just like crazy, right? Like, you're starting to lose sleep. You're starting to wake up, feel really tired. You feel just, where is it? You just feel kind of, here we go. Brain activity of a person making money off their investments is indistinguishable from a person high on cocaine. Here's the link, awealthofcommonsense.com. So I just want to address this. Again, I obviously care for people's health. I want everyone to be healthy, but I don't care if you listen or don't listen to this. What I do think is that it's really important to make sure that you stay sharp mentally, physically, all that through this, because if you don't, in a couple of weeks, you're going to feel like you got hit by a truck. And I'm not going to tell you to go get more sleep or whatever, because it's not going to happen. Like, I know you can't change people's behaviors. I'm not going to tell you to drink green juice or whatever. But what I would tell you is to schedule breaks at some point in your day. And especially for the guys out there, you should look into supplements that your body is losing by all the stress and by all the adrenaline that is being produced by your body all the time if you're in this business. Specifically, the ones that have helped me the most are zinc, choline. You can check out one called DHEA, which, I don't know, it's a little bit more heavy duty, but it can work really well, and magnesium. Like, again, I'm not a doctor here. Please make your own medical advices, like go talk to your doctor about it. But make sure that you're getting a break, or at least supplementing yourself so that you can handle the amount of adrenaline and stress that this business will put you through. Because I know for you, and I know for myself, and I can almost guarantee anybody watching this is sleeping less, is checking their phone more often, is getting more stressed out, having more highs and lows. Like, I know that's happening. And I also know that it's really difficult to stop. So instead of trying to change your behaviors, just try to give your body what it needs until you can learn to start to change behavior. So I'm just saying that because this is a really important part of this. And I've just read so many studies about pro athletes, poker players, hedge fund managers, anyone who, when they start to work on their health and, get in a better space physically, mentally, they see much better gains in everything that they do. And I think that that's just something to keep in mind, because often it doesn't get glorified. No one's going to tell you that that's a cool thing or anything. No one's going to read that article if I posted it or anything like that. But it is important, and I want, that's part of this whole thing, is taking care of yourself, especially guys. Guys, like, don't we always want to just gun it and outpower it, like give your body what it needs, right? So cool. So that's it for today. And then tomorrow we're going to do Friday. On Fridays, what I want to start doing is like Lotto Pick Fridays, where I show you guys a couple of the big lotto tickets, some that I have and some that I don't have. It's really important to me that you don't think that I'm promoting stuff that I own for selfish reasons. I will promote things. I'll tell you about things I own because I bought them for a reason. And I'll also tell you things that I don't own, so that hopefully there's some, that I'm just being objective. But I think that'll be fun on Friday, just to say, all right, if you want to take a lotto ticket, here's what I think is a good one. 10% chance of this going big. Go for it. So thank you so much for watching, guys. This is Carter with Coin Mastery TV. Make sure that if you ever want to listen to this on the podcast, go to coinmastery.com/iTunes. You can listen to it in the car, on your way home, or whatever. And tell your friends. Make sure that you post these links, this YouTube link, on your Facebook page, and tell them to go and subscribe and sign up. Keep this community growing. So thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.